Good evening and welcome to the FiTT Show, financial information for today and tomorrow. I'm Bobby P. Kinzer,
And I'm Thomas Doty.
and we are the FiTT Show, helping our people get their finances in shape. That's why we call it the FiTT Show, FITT, every Thursday at that wonderful time of 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Today is December the 11th, Thursday, for all of you people who get confused sometimes and be looking at an old show and think it's live. We are live, fully live. Just want to give a couple of administrative things. We must remind you that we're not, we do not have any fiduciary responsibility. We're not qualified financial advisors, but we do provide information, education, news that you can use. Also, give a disclaimer that we use a lot of different articles and things that we read, like today's information. If I'm sure right, it comes from Kiplinger. We use a lot of their good information, so you can go out there anytime and search Kiplinger. They got financial topics on so many different topics. And we also use Fidelity, Vanguard's, use what is Smart News. So a lot of different things that we pull from. We've had that information before we give it to you, but just want to let you know, full disclosure. And please, many times you can click on the heart button because each one is counted as one. So no matter how many times you click on it, it actually helps us. We're up to 499. We're trying to get to 500 followers, though. We just need one more. Somebody out there reach out. Also, we try to make this an interactive show, and how we do that, we are in a virtual studio, but how we make it interactive, the comment boxes where you can interact with us, any comments, opinions on anything we talked about, or questions that you may have. And also, if you have you would like for us to do cover some topics that you would be interested in, please put them in the comment box, because actually the comment box is even a greater place how the algorithms work. So please use that comment box as much as you can, because it helps us. It reaches us out to more people. We have access to, on my site, to over 2,500 people, but how Facebook work, they only let them out at a time. So the more you use those click buttons and comment box, the better it is for us. So hope you understand that. Dope, how's everything in your world, my brother?
I'm in Puerto Rico,
Puerto
chilling.
Rico. Yeah, okay. How's the weather down there?
Absolutely wonderful.
Wow. What made you go to Puerto Rico?
I like it. I've been here 3 times for work, and it's just a cool place. Cool place.
Oh, okay. Yeah, because you got jokes, you know what I'm saying? Old jokes about Puerto Rico, by the way. I'm not even gonna start you on it though, because you ain't right when it comes to Van Sins. Yeah, when wasn't he Puerto Rican?
I
When
think he was.
we played him up in
I think he
Fordham, I
was.
think
It's the one that left his handprint in your head.
at Holy Cross, I think we played him. Where was that though? Fordham? Wasn't that at Fordham? We played him at Fordham.
Yeah,
Yeah, like almost like a scrimmage, actually, really.
right.
But you got jokes, and I'm not going to go to that
Well,
story.
we ain't gonna bring that up. That's
But he
history.
he has jokes. He don't definitely has jokes. I kept wondering why this the title, the name, the date, and of the show kept disappearing. It's a new thing though. I was hitting the thing and only go up there for 60 seconds. I'm like, why does that keep disappearing? But StreamYard has a whole lot of new features. Oh, so with that though, we always start the top of the show with update on the stock market, and this has been acting strange today. Hopefully, we can get to share with you today.
Let's hope we working today.
You never know. We just have to cross our fingers, and it's working, though. All right, here we go. Here we go. So, Dope, give us some good news, bad news, ag news.
Well, it's been really crazy in this market. There's so many different things going on, but a lot of the numbers not coming out because Some of them, I think they're actually hiding. But there's just a whole lot of stuff that's creating issues in the market, and a lot of it is a lot of the Magnificent Seven are overvalued. I won't say overvalued. They've been on a tremendous run, and so there's probably not as much room and as much upside. And you're seeing the Dow last week has been going up pretty significantly, and that I think you're seeing a lot of the asset sensitive. I mean, sorry, the interest rate sensitive stocks making a move. And the Fed did cut interest rates by a quarter point yesterday, and they actually put a little caution out there that there may not be as many next year. And so what you have, the market looks like it hasn't done a whole lot last week. You can see the S&P is basically flat. It's only up 44 points. NASDAQ's up 89. And the stocks I have, Microsoft, it's up a couple. Apple kind of down three, not a lot of change. Nvidia's down two, Google's down four, Pfizer didn't change. Palantir's up 10, which is good. And United Healthcare is starting to make a move. It's up to 337. This is the one I got in at 301. So I'm pretty happy about that. And Corning, GLW, it's up 11 points, almost 13% for the week, and I am very, very excited about that. If we look year to date, you still see some significant changes. The S&P is up 18%, Nasdaq's up 22%. My stocks, Microsoft and Apple are up 15 and 11. Google has had a really, really good run as of late. They're up 30. I'm sorry, Google's up 65% year to date, and it most of that's come in the last 2 3 months. Pfizer's basically flat. Palantir is up 147%. If you look at United Healthcare, it says it's up 33, but again, I'm up. I got in at 301, so I'm up a little over 10%. And Corning, I got in at 85, and so I'm up about 12% on that one. So all my stocks are doing well now because they are all, except for Pfizer, are all pretty much, and United Healthcare, of course, they're all tech stocks. Again, and they've been on a tremendous run the last 2 3 years. And so you got to wonder how much upside they have left. And I expect to see a lot more movement in the broader market, the Dow, the S&P 500, than in the tech stocks specifically. But the tech stocks are such a big part of everything right now that you may not see it. But this might be a time to look at other stocks outside of that Magnificent Seven. So things are going to continue to be, I'll say, volatile because there's a whole lot of stuff going on. So we'll have to, as we always say, we'll have to wait and see how things shake out.
Yeah, that's true though. But it's just so interesting how the market's been going. My stocks, I had two automobile stocks for some time, which was GM and Ford. And General Motors, well, my wife actually had that stock. She had one car automobile. I had the other, and it was at $35. It's now GM is up to $80.85 a share, man. And you mentioned that some of the reason is because Trump's policies are now is favoring the gas-driven cars.
Yeah, what he's doing, he's stripping away the EV mandates, the average mile per gallon he's increased that tremendously, which means that the automakers can make less EVs and continue to make the big cars that are most profitable to them, the big SUVs. They make a lot of money on those vehicles. And as they get into the EV market, they are a lot less profitable. And so by changing the EPA requirement, moving that up, the automotive firms can make more of the big gas guzzlers and less of the EV, and I think that's what's causing the stocks to take a rise up.
And you talking about, he's taking away the EV things, like he took away the tax credit on the front that ended
Right.
in September the 30th, right?
Yeah, but the big thing was raising they had a miles per gallon that they had to hit by a certain date, and he raised that significantly. So that'll enable them to continue to not have to go as heavy in the EVs as they had been going.
Right. And then I got my registration the renewal for my registration, and it's like $300. I mean,
Less than normal.
huh?
Is that more or less than normal?
That's way more than normal.
Well, and I think the issue there is most states collect money for their roads through the gas tax,
And you're exactly right.
and you won't buy no gas.
Right. And so he's penalizing us because we don't pay any taxes on the
Well, it ain't,
gas.
it ain't penalizing you. It's equalizing what you should pay for roads, and it has to find a way to get that money from you people with
Okay, you say
EVs.
that, I say penalize you. Apple,
You got to pay
tomato,
to pay for the roads, brother man.
I'm paying otherwise. I'm paying for it through other taxes. That
You
ain't
got to
nothing
pay,
we.
but no, the gas tax specifically, typically in most states goes to roads.
In most, yes, it does, but it goes to roads and bridges and stuff like that. But it's not that's the only place they get taxes for those things. Something they're gonna foolishness. But anyway, I'm just pissed. I'm like Elon now. That's why Elon got mad at him. And dope, man, gold is starting to steadily going up, man. It's up to $4,305 an ounce. It has never been that I know of, in recent years, never been, when I'm talking about 20, 30 years, never been that high an ounce. Um,
Wonder if it can continue its upswing. That's
that's yeah.
and I got that gold stock where, and it's doing tremendously, but you just wonder how high can it go? You know,
Right, right. But I mean, has gold ever went down? You
not
know,
not. Oh yeah, and it has. It's been volatile before, but it's just been on a positive run. A lot of it is because of all the uncertainty in the market, uncertainty that's going on right
and
now.
it's been on that run since I started tracking it in like about 2015, and it's been going nothing but up. What's that? 10 years. It's been going up. It hasn't gone down. It's just been going steadily going up. And gold was really lagging behind. I mean, excuse me, silver was really lagging behind gold, and it wasn't moving that much. It's starting to move though,
Silver,
because
silver's moving like crazy now.
yeah, silver's up to $63.60 an ounce, and I was tracking that in 2015. It was $16. And so yeah, so commodities are, and I haven't looked at like palladium, which is another big one, and platinum. Those are ones that are, in the latter years, latter decades have been starting to grow. So, like we say, it's good to have a diversified portfolio, and we try to look at it all, you all, because it's all about having a balanced portfolio. And dope, by the way, my GE stock, GE people don't know. Reason why I bought GE stock is General Electric. Uh, Jim Welch was one of the greatest CEOs that to manage a company, and GE was so diversified. They had, the airplane engines, the ship engines. They had they had the GE financing, which was big. They had
Medical supplies.
healthcare. So it was all one, but they split it all up, right? And they split my stock into to like three different companies into health, like you said, healthcare, medical products. They split into the aerospace, the engine, combustion engines for planes and boats and stuff like that. And what was the other one saying? That and a third one. And but it's doing really well. Good. It was split to $70 a share, is up to $288 a share. And all we telling you all, everyone, let's get this straight. We're not telling you to go out and buy these stocks. We just telling you what the stocks that we purchased did. So I'm giving a disclaimer here. We're not telling you because we don't know what they're going to do in the future, but we can just tell you what they've done since we had them. So I want to give that disclaimer.
And more importantly, Bob, everybody's situation is different. And you have to buy what fits your needs, your goals, your risk tolerance, your plan. You know, those what works for me may not work for you. Bob and I don't own the same type of stocks because our situations are different. And it's not good or bad, it's just different. And so
Right.
you have to find something that's tailored to your own personal situation.
And I'm glad you said that, though, because that's what today's show is going to be about. Having a financial plan, your financial plan for 2026. We're going to get to that in a minute, but right now we're going to talk about cryptocurrency. Oh my God, you want to talk about all over the place, though. Um,
Up and down, up and down.
Up and down. I mean, but big swings, and that's why we told you be careful if you're in this. You got to be able to have a strategy for this. You got to know how to get in, and you got to have an exit strategy also. And don't let this be the majority of your portfolio because it's so volatile. But it's only up $5 billion though, and I say 0% change because anything under 1%, I just don't. I put zero. Um, so that's why you'll see that percentage change from last week was zero because it's usually way less than a cent. So I just put zero. The Bitcoin, man, Bitcoin it came back. I mean, it's actually still came back. It's at $92,561 a share. I mean, a cryptocurrency. That's up $302, but it was up way more than that though. Early in the day or the other day in the week, and then all of a sudden it dropped back down and but it's still at $92,561. For a lot of people are still making out. Ethereum is up $98, up 3%, and that's the smart contract one, which is supposed to give it a little bit more stability. Tether is still going along, which is pegged to the dollar USDT. That's Tether, and I'm gonna talk a minute about USDC, but and that's holding. That's usually pegged to like all other cryptocurrencies, you all are not. It's not backed by anything, but Tether is theoretically supposed to be backed by the dollar or another asset, and that's why it's at a dollar. And though I still need to understand how, because it's about how the quantity that's out there, how you grow um, uh, these stable coins. And Ripple is at it's down actually 3%. And that's the one that they were getting ready to regulate. By the way, was it Ripple? Yeah, yes, they were getting ready to start regulating, or was it? Yeah, Ripple, right? They were getting ready to start regulating that, and that's the only one that's no. Binance is down by $5 too. And now, though, Solana used to be in the sixth place. Now USDC, which was USD coin, which is once again a stable coin like Tether, which is backed by a dollar. It's at 99 cents. So it took the sixth place. It jumped over Solana. And that's the cryptocurrency market, y'all. You can make money in it and you can lose money in it. Just be careful and know and have a plan. And so, speaking about that, though, having a plan, that's what today's show is about. Today's show is about have a financial plan for 2026. Now, last week, just want to remind y'all, you can go out there and see that show. It stays out there for 30 days if you didn't see it or you want, a refresher. We did the year-end tax tips, so go ahead out there. But today we're going to talk about 2026, and I know y'all have heard us talk about financial planning before, but why are we talking about it for 2026, though?
Well, see, I think it's more than financial planning, and I think the reason I say it's more because we like to try to simplify um, financial planning and building wealth, and the more we talk about it, Bob, the more we realize it's not simple. That there's layers to it, and to really be successful, you got to understand those layers. Now, looking at it simplest terms, you talk about financial planning. People usually measure that by, how much money you accumulate, how many assets you have, how much your assets grow up, and if you have a financial advisor, they're going to emphasize how much your portfolio grows. What's your rate of return in comparison to the S&P? How much will you have a retirement? Assuming that the more money a person has, the more money a person has, the better their future will be. But that narrow focus, and a lot of us first time, let's call it money accumulators, that's how we look at it. But it's there's really another level to that. And what you have to look at is you get riches or you get wealth, you build wealth, and you may even make it to having a high net worth. And that's important to have financial security. We always talk about that the value of being able to do what you want to do, when you want to do it, and where you want to do it. But just looking at wealth alone doesn't guarantee you that you're going to have a fulfilled life. And that's, again, I say that's the next layer of financial planning. So true wealth encompasses having enough time, enough family time, enough friendships, enough hobbies, and of course financial security. And that's all that will support a well-lived life. But a lot of us first time people being successful tend to put all our focus on asset accumulation. And again, there's another level to that, and that's what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, yeah, that's true talk though, because it's what's so interesting is financial planning. You know, um, it one of the most significant misconceptions in financial planning is the belief that being rich and being wealthy are the same. In reality, these concepts are definitely different. How are they different? Being rich entails possessing a substantial amount of money or assets, or even a high net worth, or even a large investment portfolio, and a bunch of significant cash reserves. However, an individual may possess a lot of money and not experience wealth. Now, how is that possible? Being wealthy means having enough money, but also enough time, meaningful relationships, personal fulfillment, and the freedom to enjoy life. So true wealth is about balance, not assets, not how much you can. I know a lot of people you can have a lot of money, but if you're not having it work for you, I've seen a bunch of people lose it all. But wealth, and we're going to get into that a little bit deeper, though.
Yeah, and again, let's talk about that, Bob, because it's really a paradox in financial planning. Is when you have that singular focus on asset accumulation, and if you're working with an advisor, that's usually what they're going to talk about. They're going to talk about what your total net worth is, what your rate of return is, and how much money you got. And those are important. Don't we're not trying to say that those things are important, but what we're trying to stress is they only tell part of the story. Okay? If you focus exclusively on the numbers without considering how the person's going to use their riches to enhance their wealth, they risk I don't think they're truly serving their clients. And so, research has shown that behind a certain point, increased riches don't really change your life that much. They have a diminishing return, on as far as life satisfaction is as far as how much life satisfaction you have. So it has to be balanced by a plan for becoming wealthy. And this could mean, growing your assets and understanding how you're going to use those assets effectively. And so then you'll be secure and fulfilled. You know, that confidence with balance is that's going to create true strength. Financial planning has to balance asset accumulation along with lifestyle fulfillment. So you want to get enough money, but you still want to be fulfilled in your life, as opposed to just having a whole stack of money and nothing really, no real enjoyment in life.
I just want to approach this question from our good brother Charles McCarver, who said, "Is it possible?" And I missed it. He put this out there earlier. Is it possible for the Dow to go over, um, for the Dow to go up, and for the Nasdaq and the S&P to go down at the same time? We had that conversation today, though. So explain that.
Yeah, and it could, because again, the Dow is 30 stocks. Okay. The Dow is just 30 stocks. So those, obviously those 30 stocks could have a nice run. And the NASDAQ, we've always talked how um, strongly influenced it is by the technical stocks, whereas the Dow, I'm sorry, the S&P is 500 stocks. That's the broader market. So obviously the broader market could be doing very, very well, and the tech stocks, which may be overvalued, could actually take a tumble. And so the tech stocks have such a strong influence on the NASDAQ that they could be going down, where the broader market could be performing magnificently. So to answer your question, yes.
Yeah, that's a good explanation. I don't think a lot of people knew that though, and it did that today to be exact. Um, no, I want to talk about financial planning mindset. Now we've said this many times. We talk about mindset because mindset is what usually determines people's decisions, right? A lot of time people like we talked about today, are focusing on the numbers, saving, budgeting, credit, investing. But mindset is so important. And financial plan advisors and their clients must reconsider how they measure success. Instead of focusing solely on asset accumulation, both parties should adopt a balanced approach that include appropriate metrics that actually reflects the client's overall well-being. Like for one, the quality of life index. What is the quality of life index? That is a measure of how well a client's financial plan supports their desired lifestyle. Like Dope said at the top of the show, everybody has a different lifestyle, you know, and you need to tailor your plan according to your lifestyle. And you need to be honest with yourself. And two, another index is happiness adjusted savings rate. Now, what is that? That's a balance between saving for the future and enjoying your life today. All depends on your spending and how much you putting away in that emergency fund, or as they say, for that rainy day. And then the third one is called experience-based wealth utilization. I love that. Experience-based wealth utilization. All that means is it's a measurement that tracks whether clients are using their money in a way that aligns with their values and their aspirations, which are two different things. You have aspirations for one thing, but your values could be different. Now the paradox of financial planning lies in the false assumption that riches are alone lead to happiness. No, that we find out is not true. And you need to understand and quantify those values. People do what's important to them. That's the end of the day. And that's your values. What is more values? Your kid going through college might be more important than, you buying a new car.
Yeah. And Bob, okay, so let's try to get some practical steps for planning, because we're getting ready to jump into 2026. And the thing that sticks in my head is Maya Angelou's quote, when you know better, do better. And
Right.
I'm not embarrassed to say a lot of these things I wish I had known 10, 15, 20 years ago, because I was pretty much just being a conservative person by nature. I was just saving as much money as I possibly could. And I always, and in hindsight, I probably could have spent more in my younger years, done more things, done, more experience and stuff like that, because I was just, again, blindly saving, always worried about rainy days or what may happen or making sure I got enough money for the kids' college or, all those kinds of things. And so in hindsight, I wish I had done a plan and looked 5, 10, 15, 20 years into the future. And I think, I've done okay. I'm definitely not complaining. I'm happy with what I've done, but you always look to what can you do better and what can you pass on to your kids, okay, to make sure they maximize where they are. So even though I've done real well, I could have done better had I known some of these things as I go along. So the following things we're going to give you to do is hopefully can bring clarity to what your goals are. It can create alignment with your family. And so you can move into 2026 with a plan that feels both purposeful and achievable. And the first thing is obvious. The first thing you need to do is clarify your values. Write down the principles that guide your decisions, whether it's family security, philanthropy, how much money you want to donate to churches and other charities, what your lifestyle goals are. You know, this list becomes the filter for every financial choice. And had I done that, let's say 20 years ago, or maybe 25 years ago, then obviously I would have put things like getting my kids to college, having enough money for retirement, being able to, and these are things I didn't think about, being able to take bucket list trips, being able to go to Asia, to go to Australia, to go to Europe several times, maybe spend a month or two in Europe. Those are things I should have articulated years ago, but I didn't. And so these are the kind of things you can do now, but you have to clarify what your values are and what kind of things you hope to accomplish.
Hey, though, let's be honest, man. How many people really sit down and plan out their finances and their future, their financial plan? I mean, be honest, y'all. How many
They don't.
people?
They don't. And it's a huge mistake. It limits what you can accomplish. It truly does. It limits what you can accomplish when you don't have a plan because you pretty much just take what happens. And in my case, it just happened to be positive because I was saving a lot of money and investing wisely, and the things I invested in did well. But in hindsight, it could have even been better.
Yeah. Don't let uh, this show today go to waste, you all. Just takes the time, and if you think that you missed the boat, don't think there's never too late to do financial planning because we're living longer. Okay, the life expectancy of men now is around about 85, 86, and women is 88. So it's never too late. And plus, your kids and grandkids need to understand this too, because the sooner they catch on to this, the better it'll be. Number two, though, prioritize your objectives. Now, objectives are different than your goals, right? Goals is what you plan on doing. Objectives is the actual blueprint on how to achieve those goals. So, and check this out, though. I like this. Separate your must-haves from your nice to haves. That's a little switch from the old school where people talk about needs and wants, and they get, a lot of people get stressed out about that, right? Their needs, sometimes their wants outdo their needs, but this is must haves from your nice to haves. Like paying for your child's education might be essential, while a vacation home is just a bonus. So ranking your goals prevents competing priorities from derailing your plan. And I'm going to say that again. That's a strong statement. Ranking your goals prevents competing priorities from derailing your plan. That's why it's so important to sit down, establish your goals, know what your values are, then establish your goals, align them with your values, and then come up with the objectives to be able to obtain those so your plan stays on course.
And that's so important, Bob, because if you don't have goals, you won't do the things necessary to accomplish those things. I mean, really, you won't. And you should, and it's out there. The next thing you need to do is define your legacy, and that's another thing that a lot of people don't do because nobody likes to talk about being dead. That ain't that's not a pleasant conversation. But you got to look beyond who's going to inherit what, you know, and then think about how you want to be remembered. Do you want to create traditions that, yeah, Grandpap Dap always, that's what my grandkids call me, Dap. Grandpap Dap always wanted us to do this or always asked us to do this. And it's important that to remember DAP and do these things. Do you want to create support charities that in your name give X amount of money? Do you want to establish trust that lasts behind past how long you live? Those are the kind of things you need to think about because you aren't going to be here, and you will have assets to pass on.
Uh, Dope.
Yes, sir.
Hold on for a minute, man. I want to go back to something you just said. Now, your children call me Uncle Party Bob. They call you Grandpa Dap?
They call me DAP, DAP. And and there is no rhyme or reason. I have two grandsons. The oldest one, for some reason, just start calling me Dap, and
I
I
mean,
answer.
like getting them a Dap? Like,
That's that DAP. That's what they call me. And so
oh,
my
okay.
son-in-law, my Taylor's husband, I think he never knew really what to call me. So he calls me Dap also.
God, okay. I'm sorry.
But that is awkward. What you gonna call your father-in-law? And because
Dap.
my other son-in-law, Terrell, he just calls me Big Dope. That's just what he calls me. But grandkids call me Dap. Don't ask me why.
Okay, I just want to revisit that for a quick minute. And the thing about legacy, right quick before we get off of that, there's a financial planner's statement that they say, you know why most people don't know their great grandparents, who they are or what they did, because they normally didn't do nothing for them. They didn't leave anything for them. And I mean, some people say, Bob, but that ain't fair. Sometimes they didn't have nothing. And yeah, but it's not just about money either. You know what I'm saying? So legacy is important. I just want to put that emphasis on. I don't think because so many people are struggling trying to make it themselves that I know sometimes you don't have the time or the resources, but I think it's more of a um, attitude though and a consciousness more so than not being able to leave anything. And I think we need to think more legacy, our children and our grandchildren. We really, really need to start thinking about it. The next step is engage in a holistic advisor. Notice the term I said, holistic. Look at an advisor who goes beyond investment performance to, address taxes, estate planning, insurance, family dynamics, which is very important into your plan. Because how our families are. We are very esoteric all over the place, and it's good to understand the family dynamics and ask how financial advisors incorporate well-being and values again into the planning process, because that's what get people derailed because and having attitudes because they don't understand that certain just understand where people are coming from. That's all that is basically saying.
Yeah, and next thing you got to do is get your family involved. You got to have some conversations. Especially, it's really important for young kids to get involved in understanding wealth at an early age. So, you got to get the spouse, the heirs into the discussion. And even a simple conversation can ease tension and set expectations for the future. And those expectations could be them starting these same type processes, the same type thinking, making them plan, making them understand their risk tolerance. Those kind of things need to be discussed often. It ain't got to be every day. It ain't got to be every week. But that's the only way for young kids to learn because it's not taught in school. I think some schools are starting to, but that's something that should come from parents. And so you can pass. That's one of the things when we talk about legacy. You can pass on your thoughts and knowledge about wealth onto your kids to make sure you get them up on the right track.
It's important to have the conversation, though. I think it's almost like a taboo sometimes. I mean, I never had no financial conversation with my mother. Definitely my father. My father, he passed at 49, but I never had a, well, but I was much younger. Well, I was 13. That's still
We
pretty
we had we had family conversations, and they were very short. We don't have no money. That
good.
that that was it. And
Maybe
and, and
that's
that
why we didn't have no conversations about money. We didn't have no money. That's
funny
funny.
is my mother my mother or father would say that, and it would be 100% absolutely true. And so you know how you raise kids the same way you were raised. So I would tell my kid I don't have no money, and not realizing that my kids knew better. So I had to change. I had to change that. No, I just choose not to buy. I choose not to do that because they look at me like, we know you. We know you have money, so you can't say you don't have money. And it never dawned on me that they were they caught on to that line.
Oh, I gotta tell a quick story, man. One day, my mom said, "Bob, you got a couple of dollars." And I'm like, "Oh God, man!" She hit me up again, and I gave her a couple of dollars. She said, "Wow, you know, hey." She didn't say nothing about it, right? I leave out the house, when we living together after I played. Man, I'm like, oh man, where my wallet? I went in my room, couldn't find my wallet. I'm looking all for my wallet, man. My mom goes, "You looking for this, Bobby?" I'm like, "Yeah." She said, "Yeah, you dropped it out in front of the apartment. And I thought you said you only had a couple of dollars." And she busts me out. And I'm like, "I'll never do that again." But the next one I want to talk about is check alignment annually, at least once a year. We have mentioned this and we're going to continue to mention this. But, at least once a year. But me and Dope, I'll be looking at stuff like monthly and sometimes weekly, but at least once a year. Revisit your goals and your objectives and compare them with your financial plan, because life events happen, you know, tax laws change and even your priorities change. They shift, and they require adjustments. So at least, but me and Dope, we really think you should, and correct me if I'm wrong, though, at least a month, because nowadays with fraud and theft going on, you need to, kind of keep an eye on your accounts too. Why you need to check it a little more regularly.
Oh, for sure. And again, every situation is different. If you're invested in things that change dramatically daily, weekly, monthly, then you should look a lot more often. But depends on how you invest it.
Well,
The next one is watching out for red flags. And that's just involved in alignment, is making sure everybody's on the same page. You don't want to get a lot of stress. Make sure everybody understands what you're doing. And if somebody's getting to be worried about the situation, you don't want to create stress. You just want to make sure everybody's on the same page.
yeah, that's important. That's good talk, though. That is really good talk, and those are red flags. The last one I want to talk about is intentional financial planning. We talked about intentional spending before, but there's a such thing as intentional financial planning. And then now these steps don't require perfection. You don't have to be all the way down, excellent to the point, but they do require intentionality. The goal is not to build the largest portfolio, but to create a financial life that supports your well being today and well into the years ahead. Now, wealth alone doesn't equal success. Don't get that wrong. you know. But as 2026 began, redefine financial success in a broader term, in terms of well-being, harmony with your family, good health, you know, and what I talked about earlier, establishing a legacy. By aligning your financial strategies with priorities, wealth can become a tool for building a way, way more meaningful life. And that's what we want to leave y'all with today. And yes, that's true talk, though. So, Clutch said,
Yeah,
waking
yeah,
up
yeah.
is this mic on, though? Clutch is funny. So just want to do a summary and takeaways. Here we go. Let me share the screen here. Hold on there, dope.
Okay, I'll get started. You bringing it up?
I'm trying to bring it up. Yes, sir. Hold on. It's acting a little strange here on us. Let me see if it's taking a little while here, dope. Stick with me.
There we go.
Got it. Good.
Okay, I'll get started. And the first one is having the right mindset. And that involves being willing to learn, realizing there are things you don't know, and not being the two things you need to avoid is one, not being afraid, and number two, not putting your hand in the sand and letting everything pass by you. So you have to have the desire to want to learn, to want to grow, to want to build wealth.
The next one is focus on the right numbers, right? Focus on the right numbers, the ones that you had set your plan towards, and focus in. Don't get caught up into all these get quick rich schemes. People telling you all these other things that you can do, and but focus on the right numbers when you're doing your financial planning. What is of value? What is of meaning to you? What are you trying to accomplish?
Yeah. Define your goals. You need to have a roadmap to accomplish what you want to accomplish. You have to know what your goals are. You have to know where you're going. You have to know what you plan to do. You have to know what you want to do. Define your goals.
And the last one is understand your objectives. Remember, there's a difference between goals and objectives. You usually convolute them. Goals is what you plan to do, and objectives are how are you going to accomplish those goals. Make sure you understand them. Make sure you have a clear understanding. And remember, it starts with mindset. You know, don't get it twisted. But we want to leave y'all with that today. I know that was a lot, but dope. We hope it was fruitful for a lot of people, and we thank you all. My brother Clutch said, I thank you guys so much because all my financial planning was hoarding cash before our conversations. I appreciate you, Clutch Chicago. Dope, want to do a roll call. Thank all the people that are on. Modestine, glad you're with us today. I know you have such a busy schedule but to fit us in, we appreciate it. Modestine down there in Lexington, South Kakalaki. Rodney L. Madison Sr., the Note Experience.com. Go out there and check them out. Joanne Skinner, how you doing, dear? Garnett Nickens, thank you for being on. And my little brother, Carl Chapman. How you doing, my good brother? Glad you can be on. And Charles McCargo. And there's several more people that are on, though. A lot of people tell me they don't like to, uh, um, expose themselves, but they be on. And like I said, especially our friends around the country and around the world, we thank y'all so much for being on with us. We only have one more week though before the holiday, which is going to be back to back. We're going to miss 2 Thursdays, right? That's going to be Christmas,
Christmas and New Year's.
New Year's, but we got one more week, and we still got some more good information. But look, we're going into this new year, you all, with with a bang. We covered a lot this 12 months, though. That's shoot. It's for 40, about 48 different topics, that we did in this month. And so we thank y'all for being with us. We really do. We don't take it for granted. Though, I'm keeping it simple today. The quote of the day. Though, that's weird. You look like, with them curtains behind you, man, you look like you at some fantastic place, like, Marble Arts or somewhere.
I mean, it's a nice place.
Yeah, okay. It looks nice. So, though, I'm keeping this short and simple, right? Today, the quote of the day, ladies and gentlemen, is when God takes out the trash, don't go digging through it. Just trust Him.
Okay.
Have a marvelous, have a marvelous day, you all. We love you all, and peace, and be safe out there, you all. And do me a favor, stay woke. They made that a negative term. Stay aware, and you will be okay. Have a good day, everybody. See you next week. Peace.